The news landed like a bombshell. Early May 2025, Coca-Cola, an American institution, considering leaving America. The initial reports, whispers at first, then a stark summary. Coca-Cola had decided to leave, over Trump's tariffs. The claim was shocking, almost unbelievable. Yet the economic climate was undeniably hostile. Companies were scrambling, adapting, or breaking. This felt like breaking. Could it truly happen? The Coca-Cola Company, born in Atlanta, a symbol of American capitalism, its red and white logo, globally recognized. Now, potentially packing its bags. The iconic brand teetered. The tariffs arrived with force. President Trump, back in office, wasted no time. Liberation Day, April 2, 2025. That's when the new trade doctrine began to roll out, a doctrine of high walls, of aggressive protectionism. For Coca-Cola, the most immediate pain came from aluminum, a staggering 25% tariff on aluminum imported from Canada. Canada, a long-standing trade partner, now a source of inflated costs. This was not a minor adjustment, it was a direct hit. Aluminum cans were central to Coca-Cola's business. Billions used annually. The tariff meant costs would skyrocket, margins would shrink, or prices for consumers would rise. Faced with soaring aluminum costs, Coca-Cola made a controversial choice, a pivot, away from metal, towards plastic, more plastic bottles. It was a decision born of economic necessity, the company implied. A direct response to the latest wave of tariffs. If aluminum was to be prohibitively expensive, alternatives had to be found, and found quickly. Plastic, specifically PET, polyethylene terephthalate, offered a cheaper path. A way to mitigate the financial sting of the new trade policies. This was not a minor operational tweak, it was a significant strategic shift. Coca-Cola, already the world's largest plastic polluter, was signaling an increase in its plastic footprint. The company produced over 130 billion plastic bottles annually. The environmental watchdog Greenpeace was quick to condemn Coca-Cola's move. Lisa Ramsden, the organization's senior plastics campaigner in the USA, did not mince words. She called it a reckless step backward, a regression in the urgent fight against plastic pollution. The world was already choking on plastic. Coca-Cola, she argued, was choosing to pump more toxic plastic into our communities and the environment. This was not progress, this was a dangerous retreat. Greenpeace's concerns were specific and alarming. The PET plastic bottles Coca-Cola planned to use more of were not benign. They contained, according to the group, harmful chemicals, substances linked to a terrifying list of ailments: cancer, hormone disruption, obesity. The shift to more plastic bottles was not just an internal corporate decision. It was a strategic move influenced by various external factors, including economic pressures and consumer demand. This shift had direct consequences for millions of consumers, affecting their daily lives in ways they might not have initially realized. First, let's talk about the potential health impacts. The chemicals used in PET plastics such as BPA and phthalates have been a growing concern among health experts. As Greenpeace highlighted, these chemicals could leach into the beverages, posing serious health risks. The question on everyone's mind was, were people unknowingly ingesting hormone disruptors, carcinogens? With every sip from a newly prevalent plastic bottle, the fear alone was damaging. It created a sense of unease and mistrust among consumers. This fear eroded trust in a brand that had built its empire on refreshment and joy. Coca-Cola was no longer just a symbol of happiness, it became a source of anxiety for many. The fear alone was damaging, eroding trust in a brand that had built its empire on refreshment and joy, not on hidden health risks. Then, there was the economic impact on household budgets. While Coca-Cola might be using plastic to avoid tariff-inflated aluminum costs, the broader trade war was pushing prices up everywhere. This meant that consumers were feeling the pinch in their wallets. Walmart warned of unprecedented price hikes, and this was a reality that many families had to face. The cost of living was rising, and every penny counted. If Coca-Cola managed to keep its own prices stable by using cheaper plastic, it might seem like a win for consumers. But the victory would be hollow. The environmental cost was another significant factor. The increase in plastic production led to more waste, contributing to the already critical issue of plastic pollution. If Coca-Cola managed to keep its own prices stable by using cheaper plastic, it might seem like a win for consumers. But the victory would be hollow. If the cost was paid in environmental degradation, and potential long-term health issues, the shift to plastic bottles was a complex decision with far-reaching consequences, affecting health, wallets, and trust in ways that are still unfolding. Coca-Cola's predicament was not unique. The beverage giant found itself grappling with increased costs and disrupted supply chains, a scenario mirrored by many other companies. Trump's tariffs, announced in April 2025, sent shockwaves across numerous sectors. These tariffs were part of a broader strategy aimed at reducing the trade deficit and bringing manufacturing jobs back to American soil. The America First policy was a broadsword, not a scalpel. It cut across industries indiscriminately, affecting everything from electronics to agriculture. PepsiCo, Coca-Cola's chief rival, faced its own tariff battles. The company had to navigate a complex web of new regulations and increased costs. A 10% levy on concentrate imported from Ireland, where Pepsi had recently invested nearly $190 million, added to their woes. This levy was a significant blow to their financial planning and operational efficiency. This hit their operational model directly. The increased costs had to be absorbed somewhere, often leading to higher prices for consumers or reduced profit margins for the company. The Cola Wars had a new frontline customs duties. These duties became a battleground where companies fought to maintain their market share and profitability, and international supply chain vulnerabilities. The impact rippled outwards, affecting not just the companies directly involved, but also their suppliers, distributors, and ultimately, the consumers. Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, issued stark warnings. The company cautioned that the tariffs would lead to higher prices for a wide range of products, from electronics to everyday household items. Consumers should brace for unprecedented price hikes. Tariffed goods were arriving, and the increased costs were being passed down the line. The first boats from China, laden with products now subject to 145% tariffs, were expected in Los Angeles. Shortages loomed, and the economic landscape was set for a turbulent period. For Coca-Cola, the decision to ramp up plastic use was more than a short-term financial fix. It was a strategic move aimed at maintaining market dominance and ensuring product consistency across the globe. It was a move that struck at the heart of its modern identity, intertwining the brand with the convenience of single-use plastics, an identity increasingly scrutinized through the lens of environmental responsibility. Activists and consumers alike began to question the sustainability of Coca-Cola's practices. For years, the company had faced criticism as the world's top plastic polluter. It had made pledges to change its ways, set targets, to do better, to innovate and lead the industry towards a more sustainable future, to reduce its plastic footprint, to invest heavily in recycling infrastructure and promote the use of reusable packaging, to invest in recycling and reusable packaging. These initiatives were meant to signal a shift towards a greener future. Now, those efforts seem to be faltering, or reversing. The increase in single-use plastics was alarming. The retraction of its commitment to 25% reusable packaging by 2030, in December 2024, was a red flag. It signaled a potential backtrack on their environmental promises. Then came the tariff-driven shift to even more single-use plastic bottles. This decision was seen as a step backward in the fight against plastic pollution. These actions painted a picture of a company struggling to balance profitability with environmental responsibility. The Coca-Cola saga, sparked by Trump's tariffs, is a microcosm, a reflection of a larger, more turbulent global landscape. The trade policies enacted in early 2025 have unleashed powerful forces of disruption, retaliation, and profound uncertainty. The America First approach, designed to protect domestic industries, is proving to be a double-edged sword. It may shield some, but it wounds others, sometimes the same ones it aims to protect, as seen with aluminum users. The long-term effects on Coca-Cola's business are still unfolding. Will the shift to plastic permanently alter its production lines? Will consumer backlash over environmental and health concerns lead to falling sales?